Have you noticed how sometimes the biggest story in NASCAR isn't about who won the race, but who never got in the car at all? Because that is exactly what has happened here. Kyle Larson looked untouchable. He rolled into Las Vegas and reminded everybody why he is one of the most feared talents in all of motorsports. Then he backed it up again at Texas. Every time he showed up in JR Motorsports number 88 Chevrolet, the expectation was simple. He might just steal the show. So when the entry list for Pocono dropped, a lot of fans had the same reaction. Wait, what? Larson isn't driving? Not after the run he's been on. Not after the momentum he built. Not after making it look like this part-time deal could turn into one of the biggest storylines of the season. But that's exactly where we are. This weekend, the number 88 JR Motorsports car is headed to Pocono Raceway, one of the strangest and most demanding tracks on the NASCAR calendar. And Kyle Larson will not be the driver. Instead, the seat goes to William Byron. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a simple lineup decision. A team puts one top driver in the car instead of another. No crash, no suspension, no controversy, no late-breaking drama. But once you start pulling at the thread, this story gets a whole lot more interesting. Because Larson not being in this car at Pocono is not really about Pocono alone. It's about the way JR Motorsports built this season. It's about how Cup stars are being used in the lower series. And maybe more than anything, it's about what NASCAR is becoming in 2026. And trust me, by the time we get to the end of this, the headline will feel a lot smaller than the real story hiding underneath it. So let's break it all down. To understand why Kyle Larson is out at Pocono, you have to go back to the beginning of JR Motorsports' plan for the number 88. This was never a normal full-season ride. Instead of handing that seat to one single replacement driver and moving on, JR Motorsports chose a split model, a rotating schedule, a carefully managed balancing act. Most of the races were assigned to Roger Caruth, who would carry the bulk of the season and try to build a legitimate points run. But scattered around that schedule were appearances reserved for some of the biggest names from the Cup garage. Kyle Larson, William Byron, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott. Think about that for a second. That's not a backup list. That's not a casual part-time group. That is an all-star rotation pulled straight out of one of the most powerful talent pools in the entire sport. From a marketing point of view, it was brilliant. From a competitive point of view, it was dangerous for everybody else. And from a fan perspective, it created something impossible to ignore. Because every time one of those names appeared on the weekend schedule, the race instantly felt bigger. Larson in the 88, must-watch. Byron in the 88, serious contender. Bowman? Elliott? Same story. Suddenly, JR Motorsports wasn't just fielding another strong car. They were turning the number 88 into an event every time a Cup star climbed in. And when Kyle Larson got his opportunities, he did exactly what Kyle Larson tends to do. He made headlines. Las Vegas was the first major statement. Larson looked completely in control. Not just quick, not just clean, but in command. The kind of performance that reminds you he doesn't need much time to adjust to anything. Different series, different setup, different rhythm, doesn't matter. When Larson gets comfortable, the race starts revolving around him. And then came Texas. Again, he delivered. Again, he looked like the standard. Again, people started asking the same question. If this guy is only making a few starts, how many trophies is he going to collect before the year is over? That's what made this whole thing so compelling. Larson wasn't just showing up. He was shaping the season every time he appeared. Then Nashville added another layer to the story. That start felt different because it wasn't part of the original conversation most people had locked into their heads. Felt like a flex in the system, like proof that in NASCAR, even the cleanest schedule can shift when circumstances change. Larson slid in, finished inside the top 10, and left the same impression he always seems to leave. If he's in the field, he matters. And that's exactly why fans reacted the way they did when Pocono came around. Because from the outside, it felt logical to assume that a driver running this hot would stay in the car. But the truth is, the original plan never worked that way. And that's the key detail. Long before the Pocono weekend became a topic, JR Motorsports had already structured the schedule. Larson had a set number of starts. Byron had his own starts. Bowman had his. Elliott had his. This wasn't supposed to become a free-for-all where whoever looked hottest got the next race. It was built as a rotation, not a reward system. That matters because once you understand that, Larson's absence stops looking like a shocking removal and starts looking like something else entirely. A plan being followed. And that sounds less dramatic, sure. But in some ways, it's even more revealing. Because when a driver wins, especially a driver like Kyle Larson, sticking to the original plan suddenly becomes difficult. That's when organizations get tested. Do you stay disciplined? Do you keep your word? Or do you start rewriting the season because momentum is too tempting to ignore? That's where Pocono becomes fascinating. Because if there was ever a track where people could make the case for changing course, this was it. Pocono Raceway is not normal. Everybody knows that. 3 corners. 3 completely different styles. 3 separate challenges pretending to be one racetrack. It's a place where rhythm can disappear in an instant. A place where balance matters, patience matters, and versatility matters even more. And if you were building the perfect driver profile for a place like that, Kyle Larson's name would absolutely be part of the conversation. He's adaptable. He's instinctive. He can attack an awkward racetrack and somehow make it look natural. That's part of what makes him special. So yes, there is a version of this story where people look at Pocono and say, how do you not put Larson in that car? But here's the part fans can't ignore. William Byron isn't some weak replacement. He isn't a consolation prize. He isn't a guy just keeping the seat warm. And he definitely is not stepping into Pocono as an afterthought. Byron is one of the most polished drivers in the Cup Series right now. For the past few years, he has quietly built the kind of resume that doesn't always get loud attention, but absolutely deserves respect. He's composed, efficient, technically sharp, and when he finds the right balance in the car, he can be brutally hard to beat. That's what makes this decision more complicated than social media wants to admit. Because fans didn't just want the hottest hand. They wanted the most exciting story. And Larson was that story. But JR Motorsports wasn't building this around one emotional reaction from one race weekend to the next. They were managing a broader system. Byron had his scheduled appearances too. He had already spent time in the 88. The team knows how he likes the car. He knows how the team operates. And heading into Pocono, this wasn't some random insertion. It was part of the design. In other words, Byron isn't taking Larson's race. He's taking his own. That distinction changes everything. Still, that doesn't mean the debate goes away. In fact, that's where the real debate begins. Because what we're watching here is bigger than one seat swap. It's really a test case for an entire model. How much Cup talent is too much in a lower series? On one hand, it adds star power. It raises the level of competition. It gives fans something extra. And when names like Larson, Byron, Bowman, and Elliott show up, the race instantly feels more important. But there's another side to it too. Because every time an elite Cup driver drops into one of these cars, somebody else loses oxygen. And that brings us back to Roger Caruth. He is the driver carrying the season. He is the one trying to build consistency, collect points, and create a playoff push that matters. He's the long-term story of the number 88. But the reality is, every time a superstar rotates through his car, the spotlight shifts. That doesn't mean it's unfair. It doesn't mean it's bad for development. But it does mean the narrative keeps resetting. One week the focus is on Caruth's progress. The next week it's on Larson winning. Then Byron arrives. Then maybe Bowman. Then Elliott. And in modern NASCAR, attention is part of momentum. That's important, because a young driver doesn't just need laps. He needs identity. He needs the feeling that this is his team, his car, his season. When big names keep cycling through, it can elevate the equipment and the profile of the program, but it can also put a ceiling on ownership of the story. That's the tension JR Motorsports is managing. And honestly, it may be one of the most revealing tensions in NASCAR right now. 5 or 6 years ago, this model didn't feel quite like this. But in 2026, the lines between development, marketing, and pure competitive strategy are more blurred than ever. Teams are not just asking, who can drive this car? They're asking, who helps the brand? Who helps the data? Who raises the performance ceiling? Who keeps the car relevant every single week? And the number 88 is becoming a perfect case study in that evolution. That is why the phrase Larson replaced at Pocono is technically true, but emotionally misleading, because it suggests something dramatic happened. It suggests a demotion, problem, a late change, when really, this is about JR Motorsports following a blueprint they set up long before the season started. The twist is that Larson performed so well, he made people forget there was ever a blueprint at all. That's the real power of winning. Winning changes memory. Winning changes expectations. Winning makes the temporary feel permanent. And Larson was doing exactly that. He made a part-time role feel bigger than a part-time role. He made fans imagine possibilities that were never officially promised. Could he get another race? Could the plan shift again? Could JR Motorsports decide the momentum was too valuable to ignore? Those questions aren't crazy. In fact, they're the reason this story still isn't over. Because if we've learned anything in NASCAR, it's that plans only stay fixed until the next variable arrives. And variables always arrive. An opportunity opens. Conflict appears. A lineup changes. A team sees an advantage and acts on it. We already saw evidence of flexibility earlier in the year. So while Pocono may belong to Byron, that doesn't automatically mean Larson's chapter is finished forever. It just means, for now, the scheduled map is still winning over the emotional pull of momentum. So what should we expect this weekend? First, expect Byron to be very real. Not decent. Not respectable. Real. This team has speed. The 88 has already proven it can win. JR Motorsports as a whole has been operating like a heavyweight. And Pocono is the kind of place where discipline and precision can pay off in a huge way. If Byron unloads with balance, he can absolutely contend. Second, expect the conversation around this car to continue no matter what happens. If Byron runs well, people will say the team made the right call by sticking to the plan. If he wins, the entire discussion flips from "why isn't Larson here?" to maybe the 88 is just that strong with any elite driver in it. But if Byron struggles, then the noise gets louder. Then fans start wondering whether momentum should have mattered more than scheduling. Then Larson's absence becomes even bigger after the fact. And third, keep your eye on what this means for the rest of the year, because Chase Elliott still has scheduled appearances ahead. Alex Bowman's role still matters. The postseason pressure is getting closer. And Roger Caruth's campaign is still unfolding inside all of this. That means the number 88 story is no longer just about who is driving this weekend. It's about what this car represents. A development platform? A rotating supercar? A marketing machine? A competitive weapon? Maybe all of the above. And that's what makes this one of the most interesting stories in NASCAR right now. Not because Kyle Larson is missing one race, but because his absence exposes how carefully orchestrated and how strangely fragile this whole model really is. One hot streak from one superstar was enough to make fans question the entire structure. That tells you everything. It tells you Larson's impact is enormous. It tells you Byron is stepping into major pressure. And it tells you JR Motorsports has built something powerful enough that every lineup choice now feels like a statement. So no, this isn't the scandal some people wanted it to be. But in another way, it's more important than a scandal, because it gives us a clear look at where NASCAR is headed. A sport where talent sharing, star deployment, development strategy, and brand value are all colliding at the same time. A sport where the second-tier series is no longer just a proving ground, it's also a stage for calculated power moves. And a sport where a driver not being in a car can become just as big a story as the driver who is. That's why Pocono matters. Not just because of the race itself. Not just because William Byron has a real shot to win. And not just because Kyle Larson isn't there. It matters because this weekend is another checkpoint in a much bigger NASCAR experiment. An experiment about how teams build rosters, how they distribute opportunity, how they balance development with star power, and how long they can keep that balance before something has to give. And if you ask me, something eventually will, because stories like this don't fade. They evolve. One result at Pocono could quiet the discussion. Or it could light the fuse for the next chapter. Maybe Byron delivers and proves the rotation is stronger than any single driver. Maybe the pressure around Larson grows again later in the season. Maybe Caruth's playoff push forces even harder questions about when Cup stars should or shouldn't be in that seat. Whatever happens, this storyline is not finished. Not even close. So when the green flag drops at the tricky triangle, remember this: you are not just watching another weekend in NASCAR. You are watching a bigger idea play out in real time. A team trying to maximize everything. A superstar sitting out while still dominating the conversation. Another elite driver stepping into the spotlight. And a season that keeps reminding us just how complicated modern NASCAR has become. Kyle Larson may not be driving the 88 at Pocono, but somehow he is still at the center of the story. And that tells you all you need to know.